Alright guys, let's take a look at some players who may be able to be acquired as a buy low or a sell high guy, looking at their performances over the last couple of weeks. We'll start with some guys who you might consider buy low players at the moment. Over the last 3 weeks, Damian Lillard is the 31st ranked player. He's playing 36 minutes a night and scoring 27 points, but he's shooting his way off, under 39% from the field, only 0.7 steals during that time as well. So there are many people who are slaves to rankings, whether that be the rankings through Basketball Monster or whatever's happening on Yahoo or on ESPN, and they'll see that Lillard has dropped back off. And you're looking at a guy who's a top 10 to top 12 sort of a player who is underperforming expectations a little bit this season. His steal rate is down, and over the last couple of weeks, that efficiency has really dropped off. So if you can acquire him for anybody in that, say, 20 to 25 type of a zone, maybe a Drew Holiday type of player, I would be attempting to do that and get Lillard back, because I'm pretty sure that efficiency will jump back up. Another guy who is also a little bit undervalued at the moment with a little bit of a rough patch is Bradley Beal, the 46th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. It's coming in a lot of minutes, 37 minutes and 21 points. But his peripheral numbers are a little bit down, especially his free throws, only 74% from the line on 6 attempts. So that makes that a relative negative as well, 47% from the field during that time. He's still getting you 4.7 assists, but his steals are down. And weirdly, Beal this season is blocking a lot of shots. It's only 0.4 last season. He's at 1.2 blocks per game this year. But it's really that free throw percentage, the 74%, which is below average, which is dropping his numbers down pretty considerably. He's also rebounding the ball at a below average rate, 3.9 boards per game. I think you can expect Beal to jump back up from here, perhaps be a top 40, top 35 sort of a player. So there's a little bit of improvement in what he can do as opposed to where he's been over the last couple of weeks. The player situated one spot behind him on the rankings is Ben Simmons, who over the last 2 weeks is the 47th ranked player, averaging 17, 7, and 8 with 1.3 steals and 1 block per game. Again, people who look at these rankings will be a little bit disappointed with that number from Simmons. Part of that reason is his free throw percentage is well down. He's at 60% for the season, 57% over these last couple of games on significant volume. So that does drop his overall ranking down. Now, if you're having Simmons, you're generally in a punt type scenario. So overall rankings don't really take that, or they don't at all take that into consideration. So that makes his numbers look a lot lower. But you turn the punt setting on, which we have over on Basketball Monster, and you'll see Simmons' numbers rise pretty considerably. I still think he can get better there in that area and be a 65% type of a shooter from the line. His numbers aren't too dissimilar to what they were last year, even with Jimmy Butler around, so I don't think that's too much of a concern. Probably one of the biggest buy low guys at the moment is Nikola Jokic, who over the last 2 weeks is the 49th ranked player, only 30 minutes per game for Jokic, averaging 14, 9, and 7.5. He's not blocking any shots, only 0.3, and only hitting 39% of his overall field goals, which is obviously well down. This is a guy that 2 years ago was at 58%. He was at 50% last season. He's also only shooting 77% from the line and not getting to the line as well. So there are a number of things that have really dropped his numbers down. A lower field goal percentage, 21% from 3, a lower free throw percentage, a lower free throw rate. All those things are impacting his overall value, as well as his blocks only at 0.3 over the last 7 games. So he is a significant buy low to me. I still view him as a top 10 talent. He's the 15th ranked player over the course of the season. And those things, the field goal percentage, the free throw percentage, the free throw attempt rates, and the blocks, a reasonable person would expect all of those things to go back up. A lot of criticisms on Jokic. He's not scoring enough. He's not aggressive. He still has a higher usage this season than what he did last season. 25% this season, 24.4 last season, 24.1 the year before. So he can still be a top 12 sort of a player, even with sub 25% usage. We've seen it for 2 consecutive seasons. And it's not a usage issue that's dropped him down to 49th over this last time. In fact, his usage is up over 25 in those last 7 games. It's that efficiency numbers and the blocks that have dropped off, which have really pushed his numbers down the list. Johnny Wall is the 58th ranked player over the last couple of weeks. He is a strong buy low player. It's fueled by a terrible 61% shooting from the line, so that's due to return. 21, 4, and 8 with a steal, and the excellent 1.6 blocks that Wall is providing in that time is offset by a horrible free throw percentage. In fact, he is at just 68% over the course of the season. He shot 73 last year, but the 3 years before that, 80, 79, and 79%. So I think we can expect a decent level of improvement, which will bump that ranking back up inside the top 25 and probably inside the top 20. So I think that John Wall, with that free throw percentage, is somewhat of a buy low player. Joshie Richardson also coming in as the 66th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. I think he is a bit of a buy low guy. The shooting's not quite there, and one of the things that makes Richardson so valuable for a fantasy point of view are his blocks. He was at 0.9 last season, but over the last 6 games, he has not been at that same level. Only 2 blocks in his last 6 games, really dropping that number off. His free throws down at 74% as well, when he was at 85% last season, and is at 84% this year. Really dropping that overall number. People they don't buy into Josh Richardson as a top 50 sort of a player. He is, so you should be trying to acquire him if someone's pissed off with the recent level of performances. Even though he is still scoring 20 points per game, that overall ranking number has dipped down. LaMarcus Aldridge is showing signs of improvement, but he's still the 84th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, mainly because he's shooting 42% from the field. He has gone at over 50% in 3 of his last 4 games. He's averaging 17 and 12 with a block. Those numbers are going to start to come up. So the buy low window hasn't completely shut, but it's getting pretty close to it. So if you're going to make an acquisition of Aldridge, I think now is the time that you should be doing it. The Blue Arrow, Jamal Murray, is the 87th ranked player. He is averaging 16, 4, and 6. His steal numbers are very low, 0.6 steals, so that's part of the reason that his numbers are down, and only 41% shooting from the field, including 34% from 3. I think both of those numbers can go back up, and that has the potential to jump him 40 or 50 spots. His minutes are through the roof as well. And the last buy low guy I want to look at is De'Aaron Fox, who's the 130th ranked player over the last 2 weeks. He's shooting just 39 from the field and 69 from the line, including 25% from 3. I said plenty of times that his efficiency wasn't going to be able to stick at the level that it was at. He's at 47 and 38 from the field and 3 respectively for the season, but I didn't expect it to be this poor, and I think there's significant room for improvement here for Fox. So if people think that this is a full regression back to what he did in his rookie season, I wouldn't be buying that, and I'd be happy to try and take De'Aaron Fox off their hands if they are looking to move on from him. On the flip side, guys who are sell high players or guys who are overperforming what I think they'll do, Justin Holiday, the number 1, he is at the 28th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, averaging 15 points with 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 triples, shooting 46% from 3. I don't think that the minutes at 35 per game are going to stick. I don't think that the 46% shooting from 3 is going to stick. And I don't actually think his field goal percentage at 44% is going to stick. There are going to be minutes lost when Portis, Markkanen, and Dunn return, and some of that shooting is going to drop off. So there are people who believe he'll be able to stick it out. I don't think that he can do it, but if you can acquire a top 50 player back for Justin Holiday, or even a top 70 player, I'd be looking to do it. Al Horford is the 29th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, averaging 12, 6, and 3. And his numbers are really inflated by the fact that he's averaging 2 blocks per game in that time. He's outside the top 50 for this season. His field goal percentage is way up recently as well, 54 from the field and 86 from the line. But it's that elevated block number. It's the high 3 percentage numbers that are coming in for Horford. And I think that if someone's buying into him as a top 30 guy, I'd be willing to sell. I'd also be willing to sell his former Hawks teammate Paul Millsap, who's the 33rd ranked player over the last 2 weeks, mainly because he's averaging 2 steals and 1.6 blocks and shooting 56% from the field. These are back at Atlanta Hawks Millsap type numbers. He has never been this level of a shooter, and those steals and blocks are also well above things that he's ever done in his career, really inflating his production. It's coming in only 26 minutes, and those numbers are set to decline. So Millsap, I think, is a fringe 12-team league or 10-team league guy, probably a 12-team league player. But these numbers as a top 50, a top 40 sort of a player are unrealistic to expect him to continue there. The number 36 ranked player is Bojan Bogdanovic, really thriving at the moment because pretty clearly what's happening here. He's shooting 62% from the field and 56% from three. He doesn't do anything else apart from score, and when those numbers revert back to closer to career norms, 76 true shooting is not going to continue. He's going to fall 70, 80 spots perhaps in the rankings. So if you can get any sort of value, any sort of top 75 value back for Bojan, I'd be inquiring. Jabari Parker, the 37th ranked player, he's going to lose touches and playing time to Markkanen, to Portis, and to Dunn. 19 and 8 in 34 minutes. He could go down to 25 minutes when all those guys return. So if you can get any sort of top 50 or top 60 value back for Parker, I would highly advise doing that. Might not be possible though. Dennis Schroder, the 38th ranked player, averaging 18, 4, and 5. Some of those games have been coming with Russell Westbrook back, so I think you can get value here if the person believes he can continue to produce these numbers even with Westbrook back in the lineup. So I think Schroder is a significant sell high if you can get top 60 sort of numbers back from him. The number 55 ranked player over the last couple of weeks is Derrick Rose, averaging 19, 3, and 4, but still shooting an astonishing 58% from the field, 94 from the line, and 42% from three. He's only giving you 4 assists, 1.3 triples, and 0.3 steals, so those peripherals aren't keeping him up. It's purely to do with his percentage numbers. His biggest contribution category is his field goal percentage and his free throw percentage, 2 numbers that are going to dip significantly. So if you've got any D-Rose super fan in your league, trade him. Try and get top 50, top 70 value back because he will not be able to keep this level of efficiency going. It's just impossible for anybody to keep that level up. Tristan Thompson is your 67th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, averaging 13.5 and 13.5 with 55% shooting. It's more the 32 minutes that I don't think are going to stick for Thompson all season. Any sort of top 90 value that you can get back for him in a trade, that's what I'd be looking to do. And the last guy I want to talk about as a sell high option is Trevor Ariza. 39 minutes per game over his last 4 games. 2.3 threes and 2 steals. Not shooting the ball well, but his value is entirely influenced by those 2 steals per game. The 39 minutes isn't going to stick, and I don't think 2 steals per game is either. So any sort of top 100 value that you could try and acquire for Ariza, it might not be possible, but I would be looking to do it because his numbers are insanely inflated. That does it for another buy low, sell high segment for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it.